Welcome everyone back to my channel. This is Jacqueline Jax from the Watercolor for Beginners class, and I'm doing a series of these really cool watercolors because I have a floral class coming out soon and I'm really excited about it. So I thought I would create some videos showing you some of the different kinds of techniques that you're going to learn in the floral class, because if you took the watercolor journaling for beginners, I know you are ready to graduate and move on to a really cool class on florals, because it's just like a natural next step. Anyway, today we're going to do a really neat version of a flower that you can't really go wrong with because it is just so fun and simple to do. All right, so this is 100% cotton Arches watercolor paper. I made this sketchbook for those of you just new to my channel, and we're going to wet it. So I'm just going to take some spray. This is a nice little mister. Just use any old mister that you can get your hands on. I actually like the ones that you get at the drugstore because they kind of have this really neat mist. Every single mister is going to do something different, so keep that in mind. And I'm going to take a granulating blue. Now, this is actually Lunar by Daniel Smith. You can use any granulating blue you want, or you can just use any blue that you have. But to start with, we're just going to establish 3 or 4 flowers on our page. So probably one in the center here, maybe one down here, one down here, maybe one up here. Okay, and we're just establishing a spot for them. I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine and I'm going to add ultra to it. Now, you don't have to use the same colors I'm using. Feel free to use others if you would like. I just really like these two colors together. I think they're really interesting. And as you can see, it's going to spread because I lightly misted my paper. And that's just kind of my way of loosening things up a little bit. So now I'm going to kind of mix up the two colors in my brush and add some water. Because we want to get a nice liquid version, but we don't really need it to be too light. And as this is spreading, we are now going to take our brush and we're just going to start kind of rubbing it into the paper in a nice little fashion here, just so that it doesn't all have the spreaded edges. I don't want everything to have these spreaded edges. Then I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to kind of rub out some of these centers just a little bit. So you see how I made this really beautiful kind of like mix. So again, taking the bottom of the flower here, and then I'm taking my finger and on the paper while it's wet, I'm just kind of rubbing it and smudging it around in like kind of a flower shape, you know, just taking it and just doing that. Some of the paper, by the way, is a little more dry. I can feel it under my fingertips than the others, and I like that. That's actually good. Taking some of this and I'm just rubbing it out in circular motions. And what this does is, you can see it's kind of creating this really neat effect. I like the bleeding here, so I'm going to leave that. And I'm kind of getting this nice smudge background, right? It's kind of neat. So on this one, we're going to do the same thing. And I'm going to create a little bit more of a hard edge line here, just for something different. And smudge in towards my flower, leaving a lot of white space. So you can see I'm leaving white space here. This one is just kind of like melting, and 100% cotton paper will do this. It will keep working for you even after, you know, even after you're gone. So now I'm just kind of going in and just gonna drop in a little more color in certain areas as it starts to spread out and develop. And this is just to encourage the granulation of the colors. Ultramarine granulates, lunar granulates, taking a little bit more lunar maybe and darkening up in some areas, just kind of giving it that little pow, right? Like the center of the flower would be, or maybe even the base of the flower, just so that we can kind of keep our center point. We don't want to lose our center point, and I really want powerful statements here in my flowers. So I'm just giving it a little bit more as it dries. Now, some of these are a little more wet than others, and I'm just letting it just kind of do its thing, and that's fine. Go into my next color. Isn't this fun? Don't you just totally want to take this class now? You know you do, because I've got it chock full of really cool stuff, from transparent flowers to really neat, like semi-transparent flowers, lots of like abstracts like this, and fun techniques that you can learn to develop your own style. And I think that's really important, because I don't want you just copying my style. I want you finding your own style here. So I'm giving you a ton of fun projects to do in this watercolor floral class. And guess what? If you guys get in early, you will get it at a discount, because I love you so much and you're always here. So if you're in this video right now, it's safe to say that you are very, very dedicated to your watercolor, because you're still here. So if you're this far, you're going to get a discount. Just use the link below. And you, my friend, are going to get in at a really good price. So isn't this beautiful so far? Look what we have. So pretty. So this is going to keep working. And as it keeps working, it's going to keep developing. So we're going to let this part dry for a second here. And I'm going to, there's a lot of things I can do here. I can take a pen when it's dry, a permanent pen, and I can draw in some stems and start establishing what this is, like a flower. I can rough in some of those stems and make it very sketchy. I can take a branch and I can do very, very thin marks. Why don't we try that? So I'm going to wet this little branch. If you have the sea glass handles by Neptune, this will also work, just to scrape your paper. I'm going to dig it into the lunar and a little bit of the blue, and starting at the bottom, because I just want to see how thick this is, I am going to draw a line up. I love twigs for this reason, because they just do everything they're supposed to do. And here, yeah, I'm digging into this just enough, because I literally want this to, I want this to have a really nice, a nice kind of vein on the paper. You know what I mean? Oh, I just wanted to tell a really decent story. Then I'm going to use the side of my twig here and dip it into my more watery paint. And I'm just going to do some really like organic little strikes that will kind of look and feel like leaves. Don't try to be, try to be rough with it. Try to just put them in different places, and don't try to manipulate it too much. Let it just do its thing. If it's still wet in some areas, why not? Like, see what you end up with. Because you want to have this nice loose factor to your watercolor. You know what I mean? So this twig is just, it's doing exactly that for me, and I love it. I'm going to take a little more color, and I'm going to scrape in more of a base for this flower, just a bit, a little more structure, and go down the stem a bit. Remember, this is semi-wet right now. It's just kind of deciding what it wants to do. So you have, you can pick and choose exactly where you want to do. Now I'm going to go on the flowers, and I'm just going to kind of scrape in some little like little details, kind of like little, I don't know, just what I know about flowers, right? That we sometimes have little shoots coming out just to kind of give us a little bit of interest, just any little details. If you look at flowers long enough, you start to see, really interesting things. I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to kind of draw a little bit of some petals. Right? Well, it's like partially wet, partially dry in some areas. And I like this where it's going because now I'm starting to see shapes and I'm starting like, wow, this is cool, And that's what I want. I want to carry the eye around it. I don't just want to leave it. You could leave it vague. I mean, why not? If you got something, if you're looking at something on your paper right now that looks really neat and you do not need to establish any shapes, or the shapes have, the paper and the color have just kind of melted really well together, and you already see shapes, you do not have to go and do this step. This is just if it's there for you. If you feel like, oh yeah, this is cool, this is what I need to just finish this painting and make it, bring it into me. That is up to you. I'm just kind of developing out some shapes here and having some fun with it. I don't want to define everything too much because if I do, you will reach a point where it's too much. Like this one is good defining out what I feel like the shape should be. But that's not always going to be the case. And you have to make your best judgment. This is where we start to split off between you and I, right? This is where like I start to define my view and my vision in the painting, and this is where you start to define yours. Very, very cool. I love doing stuff like this. This is so much fun. Can you imagine doing this though? You could do this as a project with your kids. You can just make a zillion of these flowers on cards, and you made them with your own hand, and they're wonderful. This is going to teach you a lot about shaping flowers and just looking a little harder into flowers and nature. You're now going to be picking up details that you never saw before because of this tutorial. All right, there I am. Look at that. Oh my goodness, we got something really different. So I'm gonna just develop out a few more of my little scrapies here as things dry, just to bring your eye around. A little bit of color left. Don't you just love drawing with twigs? How fun is that? See, the thing with a twig is like that you don't get with anything else is it's always different. Like you cannot draw this same line twice with a twig. Where like if you're using a paintbrush, it's pretty much going to be very, very similar. Unless it's like maybe goat hair, or a very old brush that's very inconsistent. That is so cool. I love it. I'm actually going to see if I can sign my name. Oh, I managed to sign my name. Yay. There we go. All right. We'll rinse our little twig out. And that was really fun. Oh my gosh, I like this. I really like this. It's so pretty. It just is so different, and it's so loose and special, and it's going to look different for everyone. So I'm kind of really excited to see what you guys come up with. So definitely go to the group page. I linked it on the video below, and come and show off what you came up with, as abstract as you want to be. I mean, remember, watercolor is magical. It brings out the unique side of every artist. So no matter what yours looks like, it's something that you created, and it will have a vision. You know what I mean? There will be a purpose. And even if that purpose was just to occupy your time, get your mind off of the regular routine and just let you just dream and feel good for just a little while. Just get some peace, get some rest and reset your brain. That's what is so wonderful about this, because you really can't think of anything else while you're doing it. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. I love it. It looks beautiful. And thank you so much for subscribing and being here. I hope to see you guys in the floral class. And it's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait to see your projects. Happy painting.